Okay, chapter four, the final chapter of final part of chapter two, part four here, to finish up on our discussion about the differences between left-wing ideologies and government styles. Um, so to conclude this thing, let's talk about the major players here: communism, socialism, and fascism. Why is fascism also considered a left-wing? Why it is a left-wing philosophy? Um, Communism is basically a top down government style where the state has eliminated class in society. All the people who are not in charge are basically the same. And they are have eliminated all private ownership of uh, businesses. State runs them all. They tell you what to do, when to do, how to do it. They control the means of production, distribution, exchange, and in all aspects. Things you build, things you grow, things you make, whatever. The whole thing. Things you design, every aspect of a country's output. Socialism is called communism light, and the part that's light probably is the part where they still have a little bit of class within their system. But the state, or what they like to say is the state and the people, or the people, own the means of production and distribution, etc. But look around in the Europe and other places, you will find very little people owning jack. They don't own anything. The state really owns it. And for good measure, in these countries, in order to pay for this wonderful lifestyle where everything is free, the taxes are so high as to be unbelievable. Fascism, still run by the state, but now it's a dictator instead of a group of people. One guy, one person. A dictator does not have the licenses and ownership per se of the businesses. How could one person do that anyway? But by law, the owners of the factory still own the factory. The owners of the farm still own the farm. But at any time, the government, the dictator, can say to those people, you must do a thing. You must build a bomb in your factory. You must grow lima beans in your field. And I'll tell you when to stop. So really, the ownership is meaningless if it can be dictated as to how they run their businesses whenever the whim of the dictator decides. So to me, the differences are so minuscule as to be really nothing. So fascism is as left-wing as the rest of them. Top down, it's anti-capitalist, it's anti-private ownership. In the case of socialism and communism, there is none. In the case of fascism, there is, but it's worthless to own it if you can be told what to do with your own businesses anytime they decide. Now, a lot of people like to extol the virtues of certain things like socialism. They cherry pick these laws and facts and things on about socialism that push their agenda and leave out inconvenient truths about it in order to try to convince a bunch of people that socialism is the greatest thing ever. It's not, folks. It's horrendous, okay? And it's everything our country is not. It's everything our country should not ever be. The results of communism, socialism, fascism in the 20th century alone led to 120 or so million people dying because of the need of these people and these countries who adopted these ideas to move forward with them. The Chinese, the Russians, the Germans, the Italians, to name a few. Cambodians, Vietnamese, North Koreans, etc., have killed more people in the name of these three ideologies than I think, anything in history. And the people who live under these government styles, now there's not a whole lot of fascism anymore, not in its strict sense, but where communism has been in the past, after they got through the massacres and the deaths and the destruction of everything around them to get themselves seated and populate into these countries and take charge, they realized that economically it didn't work. They had to adapt elements of other philosophies like capitalism just to make the thing balance in the end. The books balance. China is a great example of this. It's kind of a hybrid of capitalism and communism, where communism by itself had no chance of working. And when it was tried, it failed. People like to cite places like Denmark and Sweden as these great socialist utopias, constantly bringing up the fact that people have the highest standard of living and they have free health care. And there's another topic we're going to cover is rights and health care and a bunch of stuff like that. And that somehow this is what people were meant to have and what they were meant to do and the lives they were meant to live under these conditions. What they forget to mention is the fact that in order for a government to pay for all this stuff, they have to tax their income almost 50%. How would you like to work for 40, 50 hours a day, a week, I mean, and take home whatever you have and give half of it to the government every time? And for this, you get no responsibility for doing for yourself. The individual is subservient to the state. Individualism is a bad word in the communist and socialist societies. Now, when communism, and in these societies like Denmark and Sweden, they've had to throw in elements of capitalism, again, to make the books balance a little bit, to make the thing work. As Margaret Thatcher once famously said, the problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money. The only way that's going to get fixed is if you put in an infusion of a different philosophy in terms of or government philosophy like capitalism. And they've had to do that. They don't want to admit they've had to do that, at least people who swear up and down that places like Sweden and Denmark are these great places. But I got news for you, folks. Socialism in its pure form is a disaster. Now, I'm not just saying that. I can prove it. Greece, pure socialism, pure grease fire. Venezuela, complete, utter, total socialism, complete, utter, total dumpster fire. The people in these countries are poor. They are starving. They are in chaos. They have no leadership, no direction, and no clue how to extricate themselves from the crap that's been handed down from the top to them because of socialism. Inconvenient truth, folks. It is an unmitigated disaster. Now, capitalism, the way the government style of America, the economic style of America, goes back all the way to the Pilgrims. It was created when William Bradford, who became the governor of the Massachusetts colony in 1620, when the older guy, I can't remember his name, died, probably in the winter of 1621. They tried the only government style for the new colonists in Massachusetts that they had ever known. A collectivist, statist style of government that put everything in the pot and spread it equally afterwards. So they tried that in after the winter of 1621, they tried to collect from all the farmers and all the builders and all the people um, all the stuff they had made and pass it around equally. It didn't work. Right out of the gate, it didn't work. Why? Because like all the utopians we talked about in the earlier parts of this chapter, they didn't take into account human nature. What was the human nature? The young and strong in the colony were lamenting why they should spend all this time making stuff, building stuff, growing stuff, only to give it away to other people who didn't do the same amount of work that they did. Human nature, folks. I'm not saying humans are perfect, but you have to know this before you go into it. You have to accept it. You can't rely on the perfection of humanity to try to create a perfect society. One will fail the other every single time. What's the nature of people? The nature of people is there's a certain self-interest that has to be tapped into. So what did William Bradford do? That first harvest was pretty bleak. Most people think that Thanksgiving was the first harvest of the Pilgrims. It wasn't. It was the second. William Bradford came up with a different idea. He gave everyone an equal plot of land. He said, you can work the land, build your thing, grow your thing, do whatever you want to do. You can make as much as you want. And then you keep what you make, as much of it you want to keep for yourself and your family. And everything else, every extra thing does not go to the government, does not go to the leaders of the society or the colony to distribute equally. You get to sell it. You can sell it to colonists. You can set up trading posts and sell it to the Indians. You can make exchange. It wasn't really money then, but you can exchange things that you didn't make and need with people who did make the things that you need. The more you save, the more you make, the more you can exchange. Ready? Go. What happened? A miracle happened. The people realized through self-interest that they could make as much as they want and it wouldn't go to waste. Their energies and their abilities would not go to waste because everything that they know, they kept what they needed, they made what they needed for themselves, and they could sell the rest. And so they made more stuff and grew more things and built more structures than they needed to build because they could exchange this stuff for other stuff that they definitely needed. They made, if they grew a certain crop and they could take the extra crop and buy blankets from somebody or buy tools that somebody carpenter made that they had no chance of getting any other way. The bounty from this thinking, the bounty from this idea of free markets, free enterprise, capitalism was so great that the harvest of 1622 became Thanksgiving. Now, capitalism thrives when it's unfettered. Free markets, enterprise zones, places where people can do and exchange stuff on their own without interference of a government is the best thing, historically and otherwise. People using their own self-interest to create the largesse that creates the wealth of a society. Every time government gets itself between the people and their self-interest, every time government starts to regulate how much, who can do it, when, where, and how, everything gets worse. Every single time. Now, there is still a reason for government, so that there are not abuses, so that there's not a group of people doing their thing that's putting it to another group of people trying to do their thing, where one person or group's rights step on the rights of others. Okay. But it shouldn't go past that point. And we are so far past that point today that capitalism is almost not used in its proper way anymore. And therefore, people have a problem with capitalism, but they're not even seeing it anymore. So, capitalism, good thing. Socialism, communism, fascism, bad thing. Fascism, left wing, not right wing. Deal with it. Suck it up, buttercup. That's the inconvenient truth. So next time around, we'll talk about the greatness of America, the exceptionalism of America, and why our way of life and our culture, our economy, the way it was meant to be, is preferable over all these other left-wing silly concepts that have been tried and failed over the years and left people in want and left people in dire circumstances and left people fleeing these places, these countries, for America, historically. There's a reason for that. And everybody who promotes these left-wing ideologies ignores that fact. We'll see you next time. Take care.